This episode of RSR is brought to you by iZotope, Native Instruments, SAE Institute, Spectra 1964, and Grace Design. These are tools that I use every day in my studio, from the Spectra 1964, STX 600, 100, and 100D, and Native Instruments Complete 26, to iZotope Ozone and RX, and the central hub for my studio, the Grace Design M701 audio interface. Follow the sponsor links in the show notes. Grab my free mixing course at mixmasterbundle.com, and remember to like this video and subscribe on YouTube because it's a great way to help support this show. Now, get ready to rock.
So first of all, my theory of pre-production is that there is no such thing. Mm-hmm. Pre-production is production, period.
Right, okay.
If you go into a studio to record demos and do pre-production, you're just making recordings. Now, this doesn't work for everybody, but by any means, right? Like my partner Mitch does pre-production on every song, which is fine. He does a lot of singer-songwriters, stuff that needs to get sorted out. Yeah. I don't do a lot of studio, like session player guys. It's usually bands or artists with a band.
So
Tyler Bryant. Tyler Bryant, Cluzo,
yeah.
Jack White. They're all, like artists with a vision to some degree. So us going into a studio doing pre-production is just me, in a way, recording it. Like, I don't see any point in it. Let's figure out what the song's about, and then let's record it.
Welcome to Recording Studio Rockstars. I'm Lid Shaw, and this is the podcast created to help you become a rock star of the recording studio. Native Instruments now brings you Complete 26 with powerful instruments, synthesizers, and creative tools to help you make music faster and stay inspired. The legendary Absynth 6 is back with evolving textures and experimental sounds, while Contact 8 gives you the tools for chords, phrases, and arrangement right inside your workflow. With Massive X Guitar Rig 7 Pro, session guitarist instruments, and premium tools from iZotope and Brainworks, Complete 26 gives you everything you need to create in any genre. Go to nativeinstruments.com and use the code ROCK10 for 10% off. Howdy, Rockstars. It's your host, Lid Shaw. Welcome back to Recording Studio Rockstars, bringing you into the studio to learn from recording professionals so that you can make your best record ever and be a rock star of the studio yourself. My guest today is Vance Powell, a multi-Grammy award-winning producer, engineer, and mixer, and the co-owner of Sputnik Sound in Nashville, Tennessee, with Mitch Dane. Vance has worked across rock, roots, Americana, and beyond, with major credits including The White Stripes, Arctic Monkeys, and Chris Stapleton, among many others. In addition to his long list of studio projects, he's also a frequent educator and an important voice in modern immersive and Atmos workflows. Vance has been on the show many times before on episodes 2, 171, 293, 360, 403, and 448. That's a lot, man. I think you get the credit for the most times on the podcast.
I think I obviously live nearby.
I think you do.
I live in town. It's basically the deal.
Yeah. So please welcome Vance Powell back to Recording Studio Rockstars. Vance, are you ready to rock yet again, dude?
Oh, I am so ready to rock. Are you ready to rock?
I'm ready to listen, man. I'm ready to hang out and be regaled with some good stories.
Every time anybody asks me if I'm ready to rock, I remember this incredibly hilarious deal. It's a long time ago when I was working with Jars of Clay. One of them had just got a Mac, and they just figured out that they could make it talk, like the sunnier, happier, Radiohead thing. And so we were playing Walt Disney, and they typed out this whole intro that they were going to just play over the speaker. They were just going to put a mic on it. And it was like, yay, Disney, welcome. We are happy to be here. Are you ready to rock? And they got out there and they couldn't get it to play. And then when it did, it was so quiet, nobody really heard it, except at the very end where it said, "Are you ready to rock?" Because it stretched out the K's or something. I don't know. It was
rock.
It was so bad, and that it was nobody got the joke except for us.
I love it.
And we were really hoping because he was trying this was Steve Mason was trying to figure out the inflections to get it to do what he wanted it to do.
It doesn't always pronounce it.
It doesn't. No. So it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, "Are you ready to soft rock?"
Do you ever get into synthesizers at all?
Sympathizers? I'm a sympathizer.
Yeah, sympathizers.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so
you were at my place 2 nights ago.
I know, but some of the digital ones like Serum and Vital and those ones, the wavetable
you mean
synths,
ones that actually are like not really synths?
They're in the computer, yeah.
Computer, yeah.
But you can type in
words. They call those soft synths.
You can type stuff in there, and then it'll use the wavetable thing to play that voice out.
I get that.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah. The
probably mess up just
the waveframe did that. PPG.
Oh, was that one of the hardwares?
It's big. It was one of the very first wavetable sort of synths.
How early were you into synthesizers? I don't feel like we ever talked about
I don't know. I mean, I'm not like into it that much. I own them.
Yeah.
Because I have a studio.
Do you ever mess around with synclaviers and?
No, I never. I was never around those.
Okay.
No, I knew somebody who had a Fairlight. It was kind of rich guy who had a band.
Yeah.
And he had a band because he had a Fairlight.
It's like the PA. It's like the PA for synth guys.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty funny. And they were just playing covers, and their covers sounded great because they had all the samples.
Yeah. So. Well, the funny thing about that is, that's really our story, right? Like we kind of get to do the records because we have the studio.
Yep. Sometimes.
Yeah. It doesn't always work out, right?
Yeah. Sometimes we get to do them because people want us to do them. Those are the better records.
Yeah. But and your journey, we've talked about it before, but just a reminder, do you feel like you were one of those guys who was just known to be good at doing it, and then you just work out of the studios you needed?
Yeah. Or
like a combo.
I started. The first studio I worked at was next to the music store that I worked in. It was an 8-track studio, and then I went to work for Rick Massey in my hometown. He had a 16-track studio. It was actually supposed to be 2 16s, but we could never get the synchronizer to work. It was in Joplin, yeah. We could never get the synchronizer to work, but that's a whole other story. That's 1985 technology.
Was that a Lynx, a timeline?
No. It was a Shadow or a Cypher Digital Shadow. It was a synchronizer with no screen or anything. You just had to turn screws and things to get it to work. It was really janky.
Yeah.
We never really ever got it to work. So
those were fun moments though, because you really felt proud of yourself when you could get things to work.
Mm-hmm. We would get it to work. It just was sort of like, once I got it to work, it was like, oh, this sucks to try to make a record on 32 tracks. It sucks.
Right. Right.
Because it was slow and janky, basically.
Yeah.
I'd have 2 remotes suddenly. You know what I mean? You had to have 2 remotes.
To both of them, yeah.
Yeah. So, things like that. Like, yeah.
How do you get stuff to work in a digital studio today?
Well, a lot of it is kind of janky, but
we were talking a little bit about that, joking about the challenges of trying to even do this video setup.
Yeah. Well, it's we have recently hopped upon. We just had a little bit of extra time, so Cohen and I rebuilt my whole machine room. That was fun. And we pulled a bunch of some new wire, and we moved. It's just a lot of things we did. So we've been just doing all that, and it's the same thing. Like, does this work now? Did I break this?
Was that the same period where you were building the massive wall for the Atmos, or is this like
no? This is just last week.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I had an artist that was mixing a record, and she got a cold. She's in England. She got a cold. She's like, I got to pause for a few days. So, yeah. Because that happens.
Yeah, your studio's looking great, man.
Thanks.
Looking really good. Thanks. I love the wall of gear.
Yeah. Kind of got it on both sides now. I've got the rack over on the if you look to the back of the room, it's to the left, and then the big wall on the right.
Yeah. And what were the mic pre's that I thought were guitar pedals when I first glanced at them?
RCAs. No?
Yeah, I think they were the RCAs.
Yeah, BA11s.
BA11s.
Mm-hmm. With the handles, yes.
Yeah. What's the history of that mic pre, and why would you have it in the studio?
Well, they're really old RCA install. I mean, the world's way different now than it was back then. It used to be that radio stations or studios would just, put mic pre's somewhere and they were fixed gain. Everything was fixed gain.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen the big Ampex 300, because I have some of those, that have the mic pre on the front end, they're fixed gain. They're 45 dB of gain. And so the RCAs are very much like that. They're 45 or more. I don't know because I have unmodded, but I think they're 45 or 50 dB of gain. Now, the reason for that was back in the day, nobody mic'd anything up close.
Right.
And they were using RCA ribbon mics, which, of course, needs a lot of gain. So those are probably somewhere in the mid-50s, late 40s, mid-50s. I think BA11s are late 40s, or BA1s. Mine are 11s. They're a little later. But they were broadcast. They were radio station mic pre's that, the microphones were plugged in the wall somewhere or somehow, and they were patched in a patch bay in a machine room.
And then, what mics do you love to use with those when you're recording?
Well, ribbons are brilliant. Mine have been modded so they have a pad now. And the gain structure, the gain on them is adjustable by the feedback loop. So anytime you have an amplifier of any sort, the output is routed back into the input, and that's how you get gain.
Right.
You're amplifying its own signal, basically.
Right.
And so that feedback loop, we put a big pot in the middle of it. So now I can adjust it way down so it has almost no feedback, which is also tonally different than with it all the way open. All the way open, it's a 0. So, if you're using a normal microphone these days on an amp, it's way too loud. So you have to pad it, and then you have to back the gain off. And that feedback loop changed the distortion ratio a bit too. So I use them on electric guitars sometimes and things like that. Yeah. And acoustic instruments, they're brilliant because with feedback all the way up, like it's supposed to be, they have a pretty pronounced high frequency rise. So I don't know what it is because I've never really, but it's pretty pronounced above 10K. Now, that means that it was probably made for AM radio, which cuts off at 5K. So that curve probably slides all the way down to 1K or whatever. It's really beautiful on acoustic instruments. It's that mic pre you plug in a ribbon, and you just don't need a lot of EQ.
And so you're putting a ribbon on a guitar amp?
Or an electric acoustic guitar. A lot of acoustic instruments.
Okay, all right. That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to guess. Yeah. Do you think that sometimes people, think that we're supposed to be mixing and matching an old tube mic pre with a modern, condenser mic, and that's the wrong way to think about it?
Well,
you find a lot of the gear is it's about the intended match for stuff that.
Well, absolutely should be.
Yeah,
should be. Yeah. It's really, really hard to beat a U67 into a 1073. Why was that? Well, that's what it was intended for. U67s were invented in 1967, and there were Neve desks in every studio in England. And Germany, they were WSWs and Siemens and all these other companies. But, Neumann was smart and knew that they were buying them like crazy in the UK, and they were buying them like crazy in the United States through Gotham.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of Neve desks and APIs. And so those things were what they were intended for.
Hey, I dropped a marker too. Is that chair sort of wandering on you at all? I couldn't tell.
Well, I wonder. I'm fidgety.
Just checking. Because the last interview I did, somebody, I thought the same thing. I was
way over here?
Yeah, something like that. Well, no, it seems like it was like, I didn't know if it was going that direction because that floor slopes sometimes. All right, anyway, hopefully I'll edit that out.
But yeah, the intended use for all of these microphones to some degree was not, except for like you have vocal microphones, and even vocal microphones were not meant for you to sing right on them.
Right.
They're absolutely not. They were meant to be a foot back. They're meant to allow your voice to come out into the room and breathe a bit. But people started liking the sound of, your voice singing in the middle of your head, on speakers or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think isn't it also just the prevalence of dynamic microphones? People just,
dynamic microphones, most of them, they have proximity effect. So the closer they sing to a dynamic microphone, the better the voice sounds.
Right.
With the U47, it has a big proximity effect. And so a lot of people would move in, they'd move in, they'd come out. That's the mic technique thing. The Sinatra, he'd slide in when he needed to come out. George Jones, man, he did it like crazy. When he wanted to go down deep inside, he'd get that deep thing and then he'd move back because he was loud.
Do you think he's hearing that in the headphones to know that he's got doing the right thing? Oh, yeah.
Well, it's a learned thing, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I was lucky enough in my life to work a few years with Tammy Wynette, and man, that girl had pipes, man. She was loud, and she would sing parts of the show with a microphone at her belt.
Wow.
Through the PA. You could hear her clear as day. She just belting. If she would have been singing up close,
it would have
destroyed the world. I think the world would have exploded.
Yeah, it's really hard.
The mic pre would have.
It's hard to figure that stuff out, too, especially when you are in situations where you don't really know what the mic's doing, I suppose.
Right. I know that for all my work with Chris, we don't ever, with Chris Stapleton, I should say, I haven't ever really seen him sing up close to a microphone. He's always a foot back.
Yeah.
And then we use a 47 and a Coles 4038. We use two mics there for that because he likes the Coles in his ear. He likes all that warmth.
Yeah.
But the 47 allows us to have some of the presence of of a good 47. And then I blend them together equally in mono.
And I know we've talked about this before, but you just sort of visually line up the...
Well, they both have a band around them. So that band you can line up. And then I just take my flashlight and just kind of look through it and make sure that the ribbon and the capsule are as close as they can be. I used the sock and put it over the 4038. And then when I put them together, we used a Latch Lake, these boom arms, and I just slide them together so that they're touching. I can move that the little bag that comes with the ribbon mic. And then I just tighten that thing up, tighten the hell out of it, slide it out and make sure the 47 doesn't stick to it. And
right, because the Coles is so magnetic.
Coles is very magnetic. They'll stick together. Yeah. So you got to make sure that both these things are really tight.
Yeah.
And then I use a pair of 1073s, and then we usually have a Fairchild, a 670, or the UTA. We use my UTA on some of the last record. And then that goes straight to a stereo track in Pro Tools. Panned straight up. Panned in mono.
So, interesting. Okay, so
you don't want
they're blended before they're recording.
Well, they're recording blended.
Right.
But of course, the coolest thing is that Avid. It's not cool, but Avid finally put the down mixer plug in. That used to be a developer only thing. They put the down mixer plug in. So if you want to adjust it, you just put the down mixer plug in. It goes stereo to mono, and then it gives you two faders.
Interesting.
You probably have not ever used that one. I
haven't even tried that, yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so maybe break that down for us a little bit more. Why would we want that as opposed to, I see, because then the stereo track gives you a single track to do all your vocals on.
Sample accurate editing,
right,
period.
Right, whereas if you leave it on two tracks, you can screw it up.
You'll fuck it up.
Yeah, you'll fuck it up, yeah. Yeah, I think about that for...
Or Avid will fuck it up.
Guitar
or
stuff,
Reaper or Luna or any of them will fuck it up.
Yeah.
Plugins, you just don't want... This took a bit for me to figure out, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
The Traveler record, I just blended them into one track. But after that, it was like, hold it. I really would like the Coles a little more. If he kind of comes down low, that Coles is nice, that. And of course, the Coles is a figure of 8. So, you get a little bit of the room behind it. You have a little bit of ambience that you can't really take into account with a condenser mic because, there's nothing in the back. Whereas with the Coles, everything is in the back just like it is in the front.
Right, exactly.
So, and the other part of the Coles is sometimes you can hear the bass player's bass guitar, which sometimes is cool. Or like for Chris, like on Tennessee Whiskey, in his vocal, you hear the fact that the drum booth door was open, which is part of the sound of it. Right.
You hear a little bit of drums bleeding.
Pretty fair amount bleeding.
Yeah.
But that was part of that song. I mean, we cut that. It was the last thing we recorded of the first session of Chris's, and it wasn't supposed to be recorded. He was just playing it because they'd been playing it at sound check, and I recorded it. And then Dave was like, let's record that. And so we did. And then I was like, I'm already recording.
Now, is Chris one of these artists that you get to work with that might just nail it in a single take?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, of the 10 or the 5 records I've done over 10 years, I think right now there's 3 songs of all of his catalog that he sang at a later date. So in other words, what you heard when we recorded it is what's on the record.
Amazing.
And that's him playing guitar and singing.
Yeah, you played some stuff when I was at the party there. We were listening to a variety of music, and some of it was Chris, and his voice just sounded just incredible. Does he like to play guitar and sing almost always?
It's a both almost, thing, right? Yeah. Even if we overdubbed, he's playing guitar.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
Yeah. No. So, what are some of the challenges to that? And we may have talked about this.
Well, a lot of times he's playing acoustic guitar, so it's acoustic guitar and vocal.
Does that makes it harder or easier?
It makes it harder. Well, it makes it harder because he's so incredibly dynamic.
Right.
So, he can sing pretty quiet and then get really loud. Yeah. And, I can point out some places where I go, well, he's singing so loud the acoustic guitar mics are pushing down.
Right.
He's ducking the acoustic guitar mics.
Right.
And then when he comes out, they come up. But then the reality is that that's what that sounds like anyway.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
His voice is what should stand out, not the guitar. And so in a way, like, it does the natural thing.
The new iZotope RX12 is here, bringing powerful new AI tools to help you repair and improve your audio faster than ever. RX12 introduces scene rebalance for separating dialogue, music, and sound effects, plus Stems View for visually editing stems inside your session. You can clean up noisy recordings, remove bleed, rebalance mixes, and automatically trim silence from long audio files in seconds. Whether you're producing music, editing podcasts, or working in post-production, RX12 helps you fix the unfixable fast. Go to iZotope.com and use the code ROCK10 for 10% off. And I've noticed when I have a singer singing and there's some other mics in the room too, sometimes a loud note sort of gets picked up in a mic that might be panned to one side or another.
Yeah.
I guess that can be a challenge sometimes. We sort of didn't finish the idea. I was asking you before, like, how do you get stuff to work in a digital studio as we were starting on that idea of analog? And you had some pretty specific things to say about it.
Well, I don't know what to exactly. I mean, the big thing is great converters. I don't remember what we were talking about.
So we were talking. I was talking about doing video stuff and. Everything worked on a laptop with 2 cameras, and 3 months later, I got to switch to a different format.
So, exactly.
Like
so here's my spiel. Don't update or upgrade anything from the software to the hardware to the whatever. If you have a system working, don't change it.
So that means, like, if you have a computer that is running Pro Tools or your DAW,
and it's solid,
changes,
and it's solid and it works, don't change it.
It means don't use that computer for other stuff.
Don't use that computer for other stuff. And there's a few things like, if you want to see this in action, all right, buy a brand new M4, right? And when you set up your setup, but don't log into iCloud.
Right.
All right. Put Pro Tools on it. Open it. Right? Now, plugins are always going to slow down the process, but if anybody knows about the plugin cache, the first time it loads all the plugins, it builds a cache of the database of the code for the plugin.
Right.
All right. And then all it does is check that code to make sure it hadn't changed every time it opens. So once you get whatever plugins in it you want, okay, here's what I've got. Boot Pro Tools, and it'll be fast as can be. Now, log into iCloud and just add your email and then do it again. And I don't know what happens exactly other than there's a lot of processes that are going on in the Mac that are doing things, and it can handle it, but it will slow down over time.
Yeah.
Any time you're logged into any of those services. But the reality is these days that we almost have to be.
Yeah.
I'm like right now mixing a record that is, the artist is in England, producer is in New Jersey, and one of the players from time to time is on the road. So how am I mixing that? Well, they send me the files via WeTransfer or whatever. I get the file, I get all the session up and running. I start a Zoom call. I Zoom into Zoom. I would go to WhatsApp. I drop the link for that. Then I drop an Audio Movers link. They come up on my Zoom. Zoom actually has one of the coolest features. Just mute the mic and then space bar is your push to talk, which is great. Push to talk, which for some reason I can't ever get the producer to do. He will always leave his thing on, so I hit play and it blasts out through my speaker and I have to mute him.
Right.
But they're in different parts of the world, and we're collaborating on this mix.
Yeah.
The first thing when I opened Zoom the other day is it said, "Oh, there's an update." I go, "Okay, sure, Zoom." I update. Cool. Now I'm 20 minutes into the Zoom call, and my camera on my brand new PowerBook, brand new M4 MacBook, turns off. Great. Okay, cool. So I restart, set the stream, same thing, 20 minutes in, gone. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, this sucks. I opened FaceTime, and I FaceTimed my other computer, and it stayed up for an hour. Okay, so this is Zoom. I go back, update, and guess what? There was an update. And that
an update after
worked.
the first update.
Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things, like I had a software update. I was updating software to get a problem in my OS on my Dolby renderer. I still use an external renderer for 70% of my Atmos stuff before I print. I switched to the internal, but it still works great. It works perfect until it doesn't. And I had an external drive in a Blackmagic bag. And for some reason, probably a crash or a forced turn off, restart, it started copying my external drive. It wasn't copying it. It was just thinking there were 3 of them hooked up. So it would say Dolby Atmos Renderers 1. But there was already one there that just said Dolby Atmos Renderers. Then you'd restart and it'd be Dolby Atmos Renderers 1 and 2. It's the same drive. It just lost the symbolic link to it. So I ran disk utility and all this stuff. None fixed. I'm like, okay, cool. What if I just go from Ventura to the current OS, right? I look, everybody says it works. I do it, but Focusrite, the Focusrite OS or the software for the card doesn't work. So now I have to erase it back to Ventura, get a Ventura disk and all this. And I was just like, okay, I'm never touching this again.
Yeah.
So I got it up and running, and then I cloned it to a drive because it's old enough you can clone it. I put that drive on a shelf, and I made it so I can use an install disk, and it puts it all back to where it was. And
interesting. Yeah. So I guess the clone
but M4
thing,
is all the M series, all the Apple Silicon. That's almost impossible to do now.
Yeah, I know. That really keeps moving forward. But I guess part of the takeaway is just be thoughtful about just because our computers can do everything doesn't mean you need to install everything on every computer. Yeah. It's a good reason to get more than one computer if you can. Have something that's dedicated for
if you have a laptop. I mean, at this point, I have 3 laptops. So I have an Intel, I have an M2, and I have an M4.
Yeah.
And what happens is the M2 sometimes comes home with me, and I plug it into a monitor at home, and I'm on an Apollo. And if I need to work on something, my Intel machine probably is going to just stay where it is right now, and I'll just open it when I need it. Or it's a small little bitty 13-inch, so if I need to throw it in a bag, I can. I have the hiccups. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. It's all right.
It happens. I'm drinking coffee. It happens.
Good coffee? Did you say it was your buddy's coffee?
Yeah, this is my buddy Blue Ridge bottle. Bootleg. I said that. I read that wrong.
As in Blue Ridge, the mountains.
Blue Ridge, yeah. He's up in up north of Asheville, up in the mountains.
Yeah.
Matt King.
I love that part of the world.
Recording artist here.
Beautiful part.
He makes really good coffee. Very kick in the face, sort of. It's good.
That was always my favorite kind of coffee.
Yeah. I've got 5 pounds of Death Wish in my refrigerator if you want some. So speaking of kick you in the face.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. I had to buy something stupid the other day because I was doing the music. I was mixing music for a film, and so it had to be had to be at 48, of course, but it had to be at 23.976 was the frame rate, and which is not a big deal. All that's no big deal. I have a synchronizer and a video ref and all that, but for some reason, my rig would not lock up. Could not get it to lock. And, things work perfect until you move them.
Yeah.
And so I ended up updating my Sync HD, which if anybody wants to buy it, I'll sell it cheap, to the new Sync X box, which was $3,000. Now, let me tell you, spending $3,000 on something that doesn't change the sound of anything, but it just makes it work, that sucks.
I agree.
It really sucks.
I agree.
But because it was for a film, because it had to be spotted to the film, it had to, all that stuff. That's what I had to do.
If you got to spend $3,000 on something and it brings in more income to the studio, then it can be worth doing.
Well, I mean, that's why I do. I just figure out how much money does this cost, and how many days do I have to work to pay for it?
Right. How many days would be lost if I don't get it? How many days of my time does it save me?
Yeah, and what gig am I going to lose if I don't have it?
Yeah.
And when you're working with video, I mean, I don't do a lot of post, but this last year I mixed. Was that last year? This year?
This is what happens, Rockstars.
This is what happens.
Work on this.
I mixed Stapleton's the 50th anniversary of Also Say Limits. He performed for the 50th year, whatever, and I mixed all that at my place instead of there at the studio. We didn't mix it live. We just captured it there, and then and of course that's locked to video and has to lay back into their layback system, and so I need all that stuff.
Yeah.
Even though making records you don't.
That's right. Sometimes you did. Sometimes you don't need a video.
Time code, you don't need a video generator. You don't need time code generating. I need time code because I use the SSL and all that. But I mean, I don't need it to spit out, all these crazy drop frames and HD video and trice level and all that because I'm not doing what you're doing here.
Yeah, and I don't have to sync anything other than
that doesn't mean I might not.
Well, hey, man. Your videos have been some of the best ones I've seen, on the internet.
Thanks. I'm thinking about starting. I think I'm
great,
starting about doing a podcast called Recording Studio Cock Stars.
I think that's a great idea.
And I could just hire some people we know around town. And no, I'm sorry, I would never do that.
All right. So another thing that we were discussing that I think is a valuable topic. One of the things that's fantastic about your studio and how you do things, you're really efficient with your studio system and you're great at it. And you always have great people around who are part of the team. Maybe you can talk about, how do you find, train, and keep great interns and assistants to build up a real studio culture?
I would love to. First of all, interns are an interesting deal because we have only ever hired as my assistant someone who was an intern.
Right.
Now, that being said, I've had 6 assistant engineers in my, however many long now, 20-some year long as a studio, as a independent person making records. 25, well, it's even longer than that. And all of them, to some degree, and some to bigger degrees, have become very successful.
That's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah. Jeremy Cottrell was my first assistant. He now runs Blackbird's The School and has made a bunch of records. Josh Vance Smith was my second assistant. He went on to do a bunch of work with Jack White, won a Latin Grammy for this rock band he did down in Columbia. Mark Patachia won a Grammy for one of my favorite records that I didn't do, but I wish I could have done, and that was Jason Isbell's Southeastern. Eddie Spear has become very, very successful here in town. I think he did Sierra Farrell records, so I think he won like 4 this last year. And then Mike Fahey was not my current assistant, but Mike is doing really well for himself now, and he's on the path, man. He's got a great studio, and he's the buy-selling gear broker nut that, I sort of buy and sell gear from him. He's
That's
my
cool.
old assistant. But, yeah, he's doing great.
That's great.
And then Cohen Terry is my current assistant.
A.K.A. Coco, right?
A.K.A. Coco. He's doing great. And, he's been at the studio now for 10 years, but he's worked for me for 3. So he came in as an intern for the Christmas party that you were at 10 years ago.
Wow.
The first year at
so he was the attendee. He was the invitee who never left.
Yeah, he was an intern.
Well, he came to the party and just never went home.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and we saw how he sort of dealt with people. It was great.
Yeah.
He worked for Mitch for a long time, and they left for a little bit, and then he came back to work for me.
Yeah.
So, I'm probably an idiot for this, but I pay my assistant, I think, really well. If I'm there at the studio and there's a paying gig, he gets paid. I also need him to do a lot of things for me.
Right.
He's a skinny guy. He's a rock climber, and he's one of the only people I know who can actually get behind my racks. So that's kind of a thing. But yeah, he's very meticulous about his note taking and all that. He's great.
Yeah.
And he's going to do really well in this business. But I think, and I feel like that if we, people who are making records every day, we don't hire an assistant or we don't pay somebody to be there, then we can't pass anything that we've learned along. Any of this knowledge that we have it just goes away. A really good friend of mine, Mike Spitz, who ran ATR Service, one of my favorite people in the world, he basically worked himself into a grave, and when he left, there wasn't really anybody immediately who knew what to do. He had one guy he'd been training. Steve Smith, Studer Steve, when Steve passed, all his knowledge was gone. He had no one he was training or teaching or keep this alive. And so at some point, look, I'm not like Mr. Altruistic here, but I'm going to say that if we don't educate the future is what I'm trying to say. The future, then there won't be any future to be educated. They'll learn just Suno and AI and, and, oh, this is easier than, tracking record and making real music.
Yeah.
And
that goes on the music side too. That's even for the musicians.
Absolutely.
If the kids don't pick up instruments and play them and put bands together,
well, we have to inspire them.
Yeah.
And so it's my own little thing that I, in the grand scheme of it, what I make versus what Cohen makes, it's a fair percentage.
Yeah.
So,
so that's a good takeaway too, is just treating our assistants with a lot of respect
and teaching them how to do the things we do.
Yeah.
Like editing. Like right now, Cohen is editing a live show that I'm mixing. All right. So what that basically means is if somebody's not singing, cut the vocal bleed out, cut all the bleed out. Now, because otherwise it just gets too messy. Right. So that takes a learned thing to listen through and know when to cut off the words and start words and how to make sure it doesn't suddenly sound like there's all this ambience. And,
right.
All that stuff has to be kind of, taught.
Yeah.
By the same token, if there's,
and it takes a while to teach it too. That's one of the things I learned. It takes.
But I mean, even
repetition to fully train.
Even just like setting up sessions. So we have a system, like a lot of people. I'm not like I'm just invented this stupid shit or nothing. A lot of people where my assistant he ingests the record from whatever it is, a hard drive, a thumb drive, some punch cards, a pigeon who just brings a song in. No, I don't know. He ingests it into our system, and then he opens it, and I have an identical I/O setup with a summing mixer in my B room than my console. It's the same number of inputs, same number of outputs, and he sets it up, builds a basic balance, and then saves it, and then we copy it down to my system.
Is that the room off to the side of the hallway that has some synths in there as well?
Yeah. It's overflow. My old piano's up there. So he'll do that, and then when we open it on my desk, it all comes up in the right spots, and he'll label the desk, settle the VCAs, make new sessions, make new sessions in the computer and all that junk,
Yeah.
And it makes it very efficient. He can do all that in 20 or 30 minutes. He'll go through and listen to the drums, and if there's a lot of drum, moaning and ringing, because a lot of times people don't know how to fucking tune drums, he'll cut it out for me, using, LBU, cut it out, smooth it out, make it so the toms sound like toms and not like a moaning, through the whole track.
Yeah.
Usually in the wrong key. But all of that is he's still learning how I'm going to mix it, because there's a lot of variables. Okay, so usually, depending on the number of tracks, like I've been mixing this English artist, they'll send 70 tracks of vocals. All right, I mix in 32 on my desk. So how do I get 70 tracks down? Well, we figure it out.
Yeah.
So he's learning how I do that, and how to make them smaller, and something I fought against forever is folders in Pro Tools. I hate basic folders. I love routing folders.
Yeah, me too. That's the only one I use.
I think routing folders are great. I hate the basic folders. Those are just annoying to me.
Right.
Until you get that 240 track song that has 25 basic folders in it. You know what I mean? And you're like, okay, cool. I love these folders now. You know what I mean? So, and I have definitely had that.
Just to keep things organized.
Just to keep it organized, but I hate them.
Dreaming of a career in audio or the entertainment business? SAE Institute Nashville, in the heart of Music Row, offers hands-on programs where you'll learn on professional-grade gear with industry pros, learning through real projects, not just lectures. Explore studio production, live sound, audio for film, and a whole lot more. Or take the entertainment business program to learn about contracts, promotion, and more. With diploma, associate, and bachelor's programs, there's a path for you. Book a tour today at nashville.sae.edu or call 615-244-5848. Well, and so what do you think it is about? Is it just the fact that it's something's making a sound and it's hiding it from you?
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I rarely found myself ever using the show hide tracks feature in Pro Tools. I mean, now I have reasons to use it.
Yeah,
but
I would build show hide markers.
Yeah, that's what I've learned to do.
I don't use window configs, but show hide markers. And I love the fact now you can filter the markers, because I don't honestly ever care about where the chorus and all that stuff is, because I can click on it. I don't need the marker panel.
Yeah.
The one thing I've been wanting forever is, like if you have a current, like I have the Apple 32-inch monitor. Is it 32, 29, 28? Whatever it is, it's the Thunderbolt one. That's active. It's kind of like active.
Believe it or not, I've never had an Apple monitor.
Oh, well, this one is awesome. And I love it. But however big it is, if you put all the shit up at the top of Pro Tools, all the extra things, you still got this big band of gray space over on the upper right side.
Right.
I always wanted to go I want to take this marker out of the marker marker page and just drag it onto that to make a quick key.
Just leave it as a thing you can click over there to make something happen.
To go to the chorus or go to wherever, guitar solo, instead of having the floating window over the screen.
Right.
So now what I'll do is I'll just make some selections and I'll turn the markers off and I just park it up there. So I'll have mix, start, end, like a bunch of little pieces and parts of things up there.
So in other words,
I just make the window really small.
The marker. Oh, got it. All right. The window's real small.
Yeah.
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 So
marker tracks are cool. All that stuff's kind of cool. I've used a little bit. I still don't understand how in the world Avid can't have a second timeline ribbon. Why can we not have a second timeline ribbon? You
mean just another little window that's floating somewhere else?
Just knowing that timeline, just one that allows you to set the beginning point and the end point, so that when your client calls and says, well, at 2:32 in the song, right. I'm like, well, that's great. Well, I have to add 9 minutes now because, because, and like Chris Shaw, who I love, is always like, I just move all that stuff. I go, oh yeah, that's awesome. Unless somebody says, oh, by the way, here's a new guitar solo.
Right. Or you're working in time code.
And you're working where you have to, exactly.
Or you need to,
and I'm always working in time code because I'm on the desk.
You need to snap regions to original location.
Exactly.
Timestamp.
Yeah. So that works really great. But it would be better if you could just go, oh, here's the second timeline, like the song timeline. Place it at the first downbeat, and I can now go, oh, at 2 minutes and 30 seconds because I can see it. And it's weird because, that is not fucking hard. ARA is way harder than that. Why can't some kid at Avid just go, hey, I can do that here. Here you go.
Yeah.
Update.
Yeah. I use the Andrew Shep's timeline. I forget what that title is, but it's on SoundFlow. It's a little button you can click. But it's still, I got to pop up windows and do all that. It should just be built in. You're right.
It should just be up there on the top.
Yeah. There's a lot of things. And it takes
you know what actually does it? Here's what's interesting. Audio Movers does it.
Yeah, Audio Movers is great, man.
Yeah.
Talk about it plenty. I've got questions about Audio Movers if you want to tackle any of them. I tend to just send the 2-mix and listen to it, use it for that. I'm actually using it right now to get from this computer to that computer for your voice.
Oh.
But the
amazing.
Right. But it also has all this multi-track features in there. I think you can use it maybe for MIDI and stuff like that as well. So have you ever used any of those additional ones?
Well, yeah. So a few things. I've been doing quite a few Atmos things lately.
Yeah.
And it's the best way to, it's so stupid too. If the artist is in the room, you send a 714 re-render out of Atmos, out of the renderer, into a track, 714 track. You put the Audio Movers binaural renderer on, and then you put Audio Movers after it, and you send Audio Movers to everybody and say, put your AirPods in. You put your AirPods in, and it's the actual Apple spatial mix.
Interesting. So they can hear it right in
headphones in the room.
In the room.
In AirPods. Just exactly because it's the Apple renderer. It won't trigger the Apple renderer in your phone because it's just a stereo track, but it is the Apple binaural.
Interesting. Yeah, because I know that can be a bit of a
it's stupid.
challenge with all this new stuff.
It's stupid. The other one that's cool is Aircaster. And I use Aircaster for the dumbest thing. I will use Aircaster to send it to one of my Sonos to just listen to it on a, like the boombox stereo. You know what I mean? Like, and of course the Sonos, they're not exactly stereo. I have a Aero 100 or whatever, which actually is an Atmos thing. It is stereo. It's got multiple speakers in it, but it's up on my meter bridge, and I just send it to that and mute my speakers and listen for a little bit. Omnibus is like way more complicated and cool than I use, but I do use Minibus every now and then to bust.
And those are still Audio Movers.
These are all still Audio Movers products. Yeah.
Even the Aircaster?
Aircaster. Yep. These are all Audio Movers.
Yeah.
I've done a bunch of work and kind of, I don't want to say endorsement stuff, but I have done a bunch of videos for them.
Yeah. I've done that too. It's like when 2020 happened, I reached right out to them immediately, and I was like, "Come on, guys, we got to let everybody know about this."
Yeah. Well, they came over. They were here earlier in the year, and I threw some ideas at them, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, why doesn't it do that?" And I literally pointed. I go, "It would be awesome if I knew who was online listening."
Right.
And I go, "You make them log in with a name. Why does it not show up on my thing?" It says, there's 6 people on. There's a big blank thing.
It's like
and they're like,
it's like having a talkback mic that's live in the studio, and you don't know who's in the headphones in the other room.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just sort of like, I don't know who it is. It's
that one would
anybody.
be easy. That one would be easy. You just make them involved in a session, and then make them be in the control room and accidentally say something when somebody else was listening and be embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
And they'll learn that lesson really quickly.
Yeah. Well, they were sort of like, oh. And the developer, he was like, yeah, that's good idea. It's like, it was fun. Now, will it ever see the light of day? I don't have any idea. But it seems easy to me.
So one of the things you mentioned in passing, talking about Coco getting the tracks ready in the other room was, drum recordings and, challenges with the toms and stuff. And one of the questions I had written down, just especially seeing your studio, listening to various records in your playlist, which of Rockstars, we have the playlist in the show notes. So just click down. You can go listen to all these records that Vance has done.
Some of them.
Some of them. There you go. But recording drums. So like in your studio, are there any sessions that you want to give a shout out to where you're tracking in the studio recently and, ways that really work for getting a great drum sound? How big would you describe your drum room there for recording?
Well, it's 15 feet high. It's a vaulted ceiling, but the top of the vault is flattened by the air conditioning ductwork up there. So that's why there's doors. My doors are hanging up there. They're to stop the flutter from the ceiling.
Yeah.
But it's 23 or 24 at its widest at one side, and then it gets narrower down to about 17, I think. And then it's about 24 feet. So it's like 23 by 24 with a notch of a booth at about 17. And that notch where it's deeper, that's why I said the drums.
Right.
So when you came in, like the piano was there, then over here there was like my wife and my daughter and all those girls are sitting with that's the drums.
That's where the drums would typically go, yeah. And then what should we know about using? So you think of that as a medium-sized room? You think of it as a small room? It's not very big.
It's not very big, and it's not incredibly live. It can be. It's as big as I could make it.
Right.
But I can take the carpet up. The floor is pecan, so it's very, very hard. Pecan is very hard, and very reflective. So I have all these big area rugs set out that also make it nice for people to sit and all that.
Yeah.
And not so much of that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. That was him foot tapping.
That was my foot
on the
tapping.
Floor there.
Yes, I think they know what a foot tap is. But it could be somebody coming in the door. Could be somebody coming in the door, I guess. Hello, come on in.
Come on in.
But yeah, exactly.
There you go.
So if I take all those up, not all of them, but I take the big one up.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. If I take the small one right next to it up, it's Splat City.
And so a way to think about this, right, is that the drums are probably still on a rug where the drums are, but the rest of the room flooring can be
like where the guitar players, guitar and bass, those guys, normally those guys would be sitting on carpet.
Yeah, it's interesting. I got rugs in my live room too, and there are times recently where I feel like it can feel deader than I want, and I think that's part of the answer. I should just, a couple of small rugs I could lift up just to liven it a little bit more. But then what about, thinking about room mic placement for
I just try to put them as far away from the drums as possible and as high as possible. How
do you like to think about the walls that are nearby those room mics?
No, that's just part of the deal. I don't...
So if the room mic is far from the drums, but then it's 2 feet further to the wall,
I'm using cardioids at that point
and pointing towards the drums.
Yeah. Now, I do from time to time do weird shit where I'll do a cardioid and a figure of 8, and the figure of 8 will be sideways. It's not MS.
Right.
It's not MS.
Right.
It's just me trying different stuff.
So the figure of 8 sideways means it's rejecting the wall and it's rejecting the drums. It's listening to the left and the right.
Listening to the left and the right,
yeah.
Yeah, but in mono, in glorious figure of 8 mono.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just put up a couple of cheap mics, a couple of, I just did a thing in Sweetwater here not long ago. I did a master class, and we used these EV like 635s.
Yeah.
And they were both Omni, and they were not great mics, and they still sell them. Maybe still sells them.
Yeah, I've got them. I got them.
And I used them, and I loved it. Now, would it work in my room? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I just put one on one side, maybe 12 feet back from the kit, and one on the other side, like on a 30-degree angle, like speakers, basically.
Yeah. And
I used a mic cable right on the snare drum to set the distance, and I cut an arc.
So you want those two room mics left and right to feel sort of similar.
Yeah, but this was just making them so the attack is in the same spot.
Right. Exactly.
But very cool. If I go to Blackbird, I'll probably do like a RD8 in the middle, and then M50s way over.
Oop, that was my camera right there. Bye, everybody.
Hey. Okay. Sorry. I'll do them like really wide in the room, and those are amazing sounding. Of course, nobody I know except for a few people have M50s, but they're so good sounding.
Yeah.
And
then what about compression? Do you think it's smart for us to think about compression with our room mics?
Well, I'm a bake it kind of guy. I'm a baker. I bake things in. So, yeah, I do tend to try to use, really, I got that Chandler limiter, that EMI limiter thing, and I just use that where I turn it up to a point where I can sort of hear the limiting happening, but look at the meter and nothing's happening.
Right.
And then I just leave it there. And then I can always smash it later or do whatever I want to it later.
Yeah, totally.
And sometimes I'll take the low end out, and sometimes I'll leave all the low end and take the top end off, just to try to get different sounds. I do love the sound of the kit in front of the drums. So I do usually have a front mic, and that front mic is, a couple feet in front of it, a couple feet in front of the kick drum. And that gets me this sort of oofy, pumpy thing, sort of. And then I'll use either like a 525, like an API 525, or I'll use one of those, what's like a standard audio, the stretch or the level lower.
Right.
I'll just use a little bit of that.
Yeah. Those are great.
Yeah, really cool sound. And the level lower Mark II is much quieter than the original one.
So it's like when it comes to drums, limiting can be a little bit more.
Well, just room mics and things.
Yeah.
Again, judicious use of limiting never hurt anybody.
Yeah.
If you listen to Beatles records, and if you've been lucky enough to actually find the master tapes, where a lot of them moved around when they did Atmos, I mean, that's a Fairchild limiter on the drums. It's smashing.
Yeah.
It's a 660 and it is kicking ass. And so, the thing is these days is people love that drum sound, just somebody wants to record it that way. And I'll be honest with you, very, very, very few people on this planet are as good as Ringo was at that point in time. And I'm sure I'll get some hate mail, but I don't fucking care. Fuck you, Ringo was kick-ass.
Leave us a comment and tell us what you think.
Well, look, if you watch have you seen the Ron, what's his name? The Ron Howard Beatles movie about the touring Beatles? Man, there is a show in Philly that just got all this Ringo footage. Dude, he is kicking ass. It's awesome. He's got that sort of open hand jazz thing going, but he is just playing like a beast. It's really good.
It sure helps to be gigging a whole lot to get that level of ability. And I wonder if for them it was a benefit that it was sort of pre-mega sound reinforcement.
Yeah, well,
so they're having to really
they're
play
playing
to
right
the
next
room
to him,
and the spaces, and they're learning how to get that kind of sound.
They couldn't hear
together.
themselves sing, but they could definitely hear Ringo playing drums behind him. Right. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and I mean, he's playing hard, man.
Yeah.
He is rocking. If you get a chance, check out that documentary. It's really great.
I'm going to do
Ron
it.
Howard. It's great.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Native Instruments now brings you Complete 26, loaded with creative tools for songwriting, production, mixing, and sound design. The big news is the return of the legendary Absynth 6, with evolving textures, cinematic soundscapes, and experimental sounds designed to spark new ideas fast. Contact 8 continues to be the center of the complete ecosystem, with built-in tools for chords, phrases, grooves, and arrangement to help keep you in the creative flow. With Massive X Guitar Rig 7 Pro, session guitarist instruments, Play Series sounds, and premium tools from Isotope and Brainworks, including Ozone 12 Elements, Complete 26 gives you everything that you need to produce in any genre. Plus, Native Instruments continues expanding NKS integration with complete control keyboards and machine hardware. Go to nativeinstruments.com and use the code ROCK10 for 10% off. Howdy, Rockstars. We're back now for the jam session, a.k.a. the second half of the show. My guest today is Vance Powell, joining us here at Ready to Rock Studios. Look, it really is. Are you ready to rock?
Are you ready to rock?
Are you ready to rock?
You need to do that. Type that out and have it speak. And are you ready to rock?
And then it'll be like a failed. Nobody can hear it. Wait, what?
Phone, yeah.
So, are you ready to rock? Are you ready to jam?
I am ready to rock.
You've been doing a lot of great records, so I figured I'd talk about some of the things that might be fun to talk about. Chris Stapleton, White Horse, that came out a couple of years ago.
That's a couple of years ago, yeah.
But tell us about that session. It
was the
sounds
first,
great.
That's not true. It's the second song we recorded for the Higher record. The first one is this Tom Petty cover that is just I mean, we just blew everything up to do that. And then White Horse was right afterwards. And I remember thinking,
was that the Petty Country album? Or no?
It was the Petty. So it's called That's the Last Thing You Heard About Me. No. It's great.
I wrote down the album name, but I've got it right here.
Massive.
I should have known it.
It's a massive thing. Yeah, I should have known. Yeah. You should have known better. Or should have known it. Yeah. And it's just those guys playing. Dave's playing electric and Chris is playing electric, but we opened the doors from the booth, and so it's like a whole bunch of room mics, like smashed through the ADR, the ADR compressor Compex.
Yeah.
And then some other stuff. And then we cut that, and then we cut White Horse right afterwards. And so they both kind of have this similar sort of big, huge, like feel to them. And Chris just sang that thing, man. That's one take. That's one vocal take on White Horse. And I just remember thinking, like, man, like, how are we gonna keep going after this? But he killed it, and they played it great, and it was a great track. I really didn't at the time know. That's one of those ones where I go, well, that's really cool. And then there's like some others on the record, these really beautiful ballad. I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a huge hit. Wasn't.
Right.
White Horse was.
It's hard to know, right?
Yeah. And I don't know anything about country music. I just know how it resonated with me. So
yeah. But I mean, don't you feel like you've felt that in the studio as an engineer, as a producer, something turns you on, but it's just not the focus?
Yeah. Oh, I made whole records that are like that. Like I love everything about the record, and nobody else cared. I knew when we did Starting Over, I knew in that song, when they were playing, I knew that was a thing. I knew that was.
Did you ever get a chance to work with Tom Petty?
No. Saw him twice.
Would that have been on your bucket list, though?
Oh, that would have been great. Yeah. He was just so great. Saw him twice at Starwood.
Who would you like to record with that you haven't recorded with? Anybody come to mind?
Yeah. What's funny, I've said for a long time that, because I'm a huge U2 fan,
nice,
that I would have loved to have been able to record U2. And then I got asked to record U2, and it was on Memorial Day. Is that right? What's the one in May?
That's
Memorial Day. Memorial. Yeah, and I was having a pool party in my house, and I was probably, I don't know, I was cooking hamburgers and hot dogs at the time. And I was maybe, a few beers into my day, at my house in my shorts. Just got out of the pool in my shirt, my apron, I'm cooking burgers. And Ben Blackwell called. He's like, hey, U2's here. They want to record. And I was like, yeah, I'm too drunk. And they're like, well, that might actually be really cool. I'll ask him. I go, no, I mean, like, I'd have to figure out how to get there, and I'd have to Uber, and it's Memorial Day, and I have to leave. There's like 60 people at my house. And
it's funny. Yeah. So it's interesting because now that I've got a kid who's in another country at the moment, and also just having some friends over there, recognizing that, these things that we are so familiar with here, holidays and seasons, that just
they were here in town.
Thanksgiving,
they played the night before, the 2 nights before at the stadium, and so they had just gone over to Jack's to say hi, and then they were like, oh yeah, well, let's record something, it's kind of the whole, and so I think Ed Spear did it. But it's one of my favorite stories that I turned down U2 because I was too drunk, and it's really more than that. It's more than I like. Could I have recorded it? Yes. Would I have been top of my game? Mostly. It was more I know I can't drive up there. Not going to do that.
Yeah.
And then I've got to come. I got to drive back, and I'm just like, look, this is my family, my friends. All these people are here. I'm not going to just bail out.
There are those moments
because somebody famous wants to record right now.
Yeah.
I had actually done that. I left a 4th of July party to go record something in Jack White's. And Not that my wife said anything, that Diana didn't say anything or anything, but I could see she was disappointed that I cared more about that. And so I stopped. I stopped working on weekends. I will only work on a Saturday if I'm tracking a record. If we're tracking a record, and then I work 10 to 7.
Is that because tracking, there's something? Well,
sometimes you got to get it done.
Right.
You know? Right. Then when it's overdub time, you don't have a whole band there. Right. Usually, you know what I mean?
And if you're mixing, you just mix on your schedule.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And if the band's there, well, they come in and whatever. But I work 10 to 7. Now, I'll stay a little late sometimes, and I'll come in early to do editing or, you know, do a new drum, like a new kick drum or, you know what I mean? I'll try to. But I tell the band, you know, to soft 10. So that means that, and then we leave at 7. That means part of my whole spiel to people is that means you can go out and get dinner and you can go try to get laid or whatever it is you wanted to go do. You know what I mean? Because I've definitely had that band. That's all they wanted to do is go the losers and, you know, score chicks. They were Australians. They were making a killing, but they were very funny. Their first night in town, they flew from Australia. They got a taxi to take them to Walmart from downtown. They went to Walmart in Hendersonville, in Gallatin. Then they rode bikes in August down Gallatin Road back to downtown. That's Walmart bikes. They bought Walmart bikes because they can't drive. They're driving the wrong side of the road. They don't have a driver's license. So then I took them to dinner. We came back. They went down on Broadway. At 2 a.m, I talked some band into letting them play. They played. They picked up some girls, and I guess the drummer and the singer had this like 4-way thing going. And then the next morning they woke up and they'd taken all their money. Oh, shit. And
but they left them with the Walmart bikes?
And then they got on their Walmart bikes and drove like 2 miles to my studio in August.
Amazing. And then rocked out.
And then they rocked out all day.
Killed it all day.
And then they rode back, and then they went out and they were out all night.
That's hilarious, man.
Yeah.
I'm guessing in their youth, in the prime of their youth.
Oh, yeah. Australian guys in the prime of their youth. Yes, they were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if I do 10 to 7, I can usually talk people into that. We either order in lunch or, you know, maybe one day a week we'll walk down the street to Brothers or we'll get out if the sun's out, you know, like get a little air, go to Calypso or whatever, you know, just clear the brain a bit.
It's funny, as young guys in the studio, there's something about getting that chance to be in the studio making a record. Like if I was in the band's shoes making a record with you, I had a situation where we went into the studio for a couple of weeks and my car got stolen the night before our first day. And I reported my car stolen 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, well, I'm making a record.
Yep.
That's all I care about.
And the problem is that sometimes when you do the shut-in thing, you know, I've made several records at Destination Studios. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I made a record with one of my favorite artists, Karina France, and in Norway at Ocean Sound. You know, the control room is 16 feet from the ocean.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's the most beautiful. Beautiful. And the studio's great.
And that's in Norway?
That's in Norway. Yeah. And that's about 8-hour drive from Oslo. It's in a town called Ålesund, I think, on the island of Giske. It's beautiful. It's incredible. And for those of you who want to go there, it's about $900 a day with lodging.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, but
it's
fun
to do Destination Studios.
That's
like
it.
That. Yeah.
There's no restaurants. There's no bars. There's nothing out there. You have to bring all your food. You got to bring, you know, it's here.
That works for me. That's like what I like doing anyway.
And then I've done a record at Sonic Ranch down in El Paso. It was great. Little less remote, but actually even more remote in a weird way. Very cool. And then you kind of, okay, well, we're here. I'm going to work till I get tired.
Right.
And when we were in Ocean Sound, we worked till, you know, we had dinner at 7:30 or 8. We hung out, had some drinks. And it was like, you want to listen to this again? You want to play a guitar solo? You want to, you know, whatever. And we would do that. And it was like, all right, 11 o'clock, we're done.
Yeah.
and then we'd go sit in the hot tub and look at the ocean.
Right on, man.
You know, it's pretty cool, and it's right there, and yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, there's a studio in Iceland that when Al Evans
been there.
Yeah, he was
there.
He was doing his records there.
Who was?
Al Evans.
Oh yeah, I've been there. I went up there. Actually, we were in Norway, then we were in London. Recorded a rack in London, which was cool, and then we went to Flaki because they were talking about building a bigger studio there, more like a Blackbird kind of thing, like big studio, world class tracking room and all that. And
Flaki's the one in Iceland.
It's in Iceland, yeah. It's the one that's up on the north side of the island.
Yeah.
It's an 11 Experience. That's the company that owns it.
And it's a similar experience where you look out, you look through the plate glass and you see the water.
Yeah, the ocean is actually
it's actually 16 feet, but it's
it's a little farther than that, but it's across a road. There's like a gravel road, and then there's a big surf break there, a bunch of rocks.
Did you do some surfing?
I did not. You can.
Have you ever surfed?
No. And yeah, no, not going to do it in Iceland. But what's cool is all that ground there is pretty permeable. This is way off the studio thing, but there's a pond inside, like next to the studio and all, and there's a boat in there, like a trawler that's sort of sunk in the pond that I guess washed over the breakwater at some point. And it's just out there in the middle of this pond, which is all brackish. It's just leaching, under the road or whatever.
Yeah.
It's
so it's like really, it's like a nice visual image.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It was one of the most beautiful places.
That's not off topic. I mean, this is describing studio settings. I mean, this is important stuff. I think even when we make our own studios, thinking about like, what is the setting, Well,
this is sort of a deal where if you're a multi-million-dollar, maybe billion-dollar experience lodge and you want to build a studio, you call Vintage King. They put a studio together in 9 racks or 7 racks or 5 racks and a console. They build this beautiful building inside this old kind of like a Grange lodge sort of. The name over the door in Icelandic meant lodge for good-looking, attractive men, which is pretty hilarious. And that was one word. It's like good looking and attractive, or hard working and attractive. I think that's what it was. It was like it's like a place for dudes to go and get drunk, probably,
Right.
But it was all one word, one big, long, huge word. I have to look it up and get the actual thing, but
That's great. That's great.
Pretty funny.
If you record music, podcasts, video, or dialogue, the brand new iZotope RX12 is one of the most powerful audio repair tools you can add to your studio. RX12 now features AI-powered scene rebalance, letting you separate dialogue, music, and sound effects for incredible control in post-production. The new Stems view makes stem editing faster and more visual than ever, while upgraded music rebalance and dialogue isolate deliver cleaner separations with improved machine learning. RX12 also adds trim silence, helping podcasters and editors instantly remove dead space and speed up long-form editing workflows. Plus, rebuilt de-bleed tools and real-time processing improvements make cleaning up noisy recordings easier than ever. From restoring damaged audio to fixing podcast interviews, guitar tracks, vocal tracks, and film dialogue, RX12 is the industry standard toolkit trusted by producers, podcasters, post-production engineers, and music makers worldwide. Go to iZotope.com and use the code ROCK10 for 10% off. Other projects, I think...
I did a record late last year.
Yeah.
By my friends, the Inspector Clouseau. I keep bringing them up.
I'd written them down because that was one of my questions about really cool guitar sounds.
Yep, that was cut all those guitars through my PV mixer, the 1969 PV XR600 mixer or whatever it's called. That record just got Rolling Stone France 5th in the top 50 records of the year. It was number 5.
Right on,
and then in Classic Rock magazine in London, it got which is kind of like over there. That's kind of like a record. It's Classic Rock. It's just it's a rock ready thing. It got 31st of 50.
Amazing.
Yeah, and they're touring right now. They are killing it. They're just about to finish their tour, this part of the tour. Then they're going to tour in the spring. I think Diana and I and maybe my mom might go over in the spring. Well, June. It's not really spring. And see their final show of this tour. They're playing in Montmarsan, I think it's what it's called, at this bullfighting arena, this famous bullfighting arena where the Police played in '77.
Wow.
The Police, the Clash, the Damned. It was this like punk rock
that's
festival.
That's a hell of a show right there.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Wow. The Red Clay Strays was another band on your playlist. I think you did live at the Ryman.
I did live at the Ryman. I was asked to do the record, but I was out with Fish at that point and couldn't do it.
Right on. So I've got a question from a fan of the show. Jen asks, what did you think about the guys in the Red Clay Strays? Are they down to earth or have they gotten addicted to fame? That was her question.
Well, this is before they were really famous. The Ryman shows, I mean, to be honest with you, the first Ryman show, they kind of forgot what they were doing. Like, they forgot to have an encore. So they just played to the point where the Ryman said, you have to get off, which is pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
But they're super nice guys, you know. I saw them at the CMAs the other day. It was nice to say hi. And I was at one point asked to do their new record, and I just there was no way I could do it.
Yeah.
I literally was coming home after 50 days being out on the road, and I absolutely positively needed a day or two off, and they needed me to sort of fly directly from the last show to the morning of the first day. I would have had to land in Nashville at like 7 a.m. from it doesn't matter. I don't know where it was. Oh, from Saratoga, which is a terrible place to try to fly from because you got to go to Albany, which means you have to go to, flying from Albany is terrible. My wife and I go to Lake George every couple of years. In the summer, it's great. And almost every time we've been there for 10 or 12 years now, we've gotten screwed somehow. Some storm.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was no way I could do it. I just physically and mentally could not do it.
Yeah, the whole traveling, anytime it's, anywhere close to the winter season and going up northeast.
And this was summertime. Still doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Storms and things. Oh, storms come across Chicago, come across the lake.
Chicago's tricky.
And then they hit Albany, and it's like, yeah. So.
Let's see. I think since between our last interview, excuse me, and this one, you had done some recording with Fish as well. Including recording those guys at the Big Sphere in Vegas.
Well, I was mixing the live show. Yeah.
Mixing the live show, yeah.
I did 3 years of that. I'm done with it now.
Okay. What can I ask about but were you mixing, were you in the Sphere doing it, or was it you?
No, I was in a truck out back.
You were in a truck out back, okay, cool.
Yep, it was 109 degrees.
All right.
It was hot. Yep.
Vegas is a trip. I've only been there once, actually.
Yeah,
but it was a trip to go there and sort of see. It's interesting to fly over it, and you look out the window of the airplane and you see this weird alien landing bright lights, and you realize those are the big reflector power towers that they build there.
That's
something like that. They're like solar.
That's
solar
in
farms.
California. That's in California. Maybe there's some out there, but there is the big reflector one. That's in California.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been going to Vegas. My first time in Vegas was in 1993. With Tammy Wynette, and we played the Las Vegas International Hilton, or the Hilton International, which was the Hilton that Elvis did.
Wow!
And the showroom was exactly like, this is Elvis. The Vegas shows, exactly the same. They had 2 EMT 140 plates hanging about 100 feet up at the top of the showroom, up in the rafters. And they still had all the patching and all the stuff for the console that was there and all that, but they had new consoles.
Right.
Well, I say new; they were they were PM3000 Yamahas.
Right.
But we played there, and the famous Elvis elevator that went from the penthouse straight to the dressing room downstairs and to the stage.
Oh, because that was his residency.
It was upstairs. Yeah, when we were there, Bill Cosby was upstairs. So we definitely did not go up there, that I remember.
Wow.
That I remember.
That you remember.
Too soon? Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting. And the strange part is my mother grew up there, right across the street.
Really?
Yeah. There was a hotel there. It's not there anymore, but it was called the El Rancho. And before it was the El Rancho, it was the Thunderbird. And my grandfather was the chief engineer of the Thunderbird. There's also down on Fremont Street, there's the El Catez, which is still there. The man who owned it was my grandfather's uncle. He'd be my great uncle. But he was my grandfather's uncle. And
wasn't your grandfather the train engineer?
No. He was a miner. And he was an engineer. He was an engine guy.
Right.
Not trains, but like big steam engines.
Oh, okay, that's what it was.
And industrial, like worked at this hotel and all that.
Right.
But yeah, my great uncle was a mobster. He wasn't a mobster. He was a good fellow. He was non-Italian.
Wow.
He was a friend,
Right.
My friend here,
He's a good fellow.
It's a good friend. It's a good friend. He's going to help us out. And so my mom grew up in the middle of all that.
Wow. And do you think, and you may have talked about this too, but do you think that experience of the kind of, I don't know, the big show is something that your mom may have passed down to you a little bit, part of your interest?
No. My mom was, no.
No.
Nah, I don't think so at all.
All right.
No.
Fair enough. Fair question.
My father was a machinist.
Yeah.
He was a machinist, and he built cars and all kinds of things. He was very good with his hands. I'm not very good, really, with my hands, other than,
pushing faders.
Pushing faders, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Another artist, Olusty, if I'm saying that right.
That is actually J.J. Gray.
That's the album.
That's
Sorry.
the album
J.J.
title.
Gray and Mofro.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mofro. So
I wrote
J.J.
down
Gray
surf rock.
is Mofro. Mofro is what he originally started out the name of his band. And I think he told me one time that his grandmother said, why do you call yourself Mofro? He goes, why don't you just use your name? And he was like, she's like, are you embarrassed by it? He's like, no. It's like, well, so now Mofro is kind of his band. Great. I dug Mofro from when I first time I heard him.
When was that?
That would have been probably 2003 or 4, somewhere way back. One
Did
of the
you see
guys.
him live?
I did not see him live. No. No, I did not see him live. Seth at Blackbird was from Jacksonville, and he's like, "Yeah, check out this band."
Right.
And I was like, "Cool." And then I got an email from him one day, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I'd love to do it."
Yeah.
And it was cool. It was a record that I didn't record. It was recorded down in at the studio called Retrophonics. That is this cool, weird studio down. I think he's in Tampa or somewhere, but I know he got flooded by the hurricane. But it was all analog. It was all consoles and analog and Neve desk, and he's a very cool guy. But it was all recorded there by him. And then I think JJ had to kind of like do all the vocals himself.
And so then you mixed it.
And I mixed it, yeah. And I mixed it in Atmos. It's early Atmos.
Yeah, so maybe talk a little bit about that. What decisions do you make to do with that kind of music and all these speakers?
Well, here's an interesting thing. I think have you ever, let me ask a question. Have you ever you got a product pamphlet for something and you're like, man, think of all the things I could do with this. I think the first or second time I was here, the third time I was here talking about Atmos, that's what I was literally reading.
Right.
Like the Atmos, here's all the things you can do with it.
Right.
The funny thing is there's a lot of those things you really can't do. You can do them, but then somebody at Universal sends it back to you, says you can't do that. Right. Or somebody at Apple. And there's nothing worse than having some idiot, and don't get me wrong when I say this, say, oh, well, you can't, this doesn't sound like the stereo. Well,
you're like, why would you want to do that?
It's not supposed to. But the reality is that it is. And so what I've learned is that if you have a very complicated, this is just me.
Yeah.
Your mileage may vary. Objects in the window are closer than they appear. Closer in the mirror, I mean. Objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. I don't like gimmicks. I don't like auto pan. I never liked it in records. I never liked, I thought it was cool.
Bouncing left and
I thought
right,
it was cool, and
yeah.
like all the Hendrix records are cool, all that, because I'm tripping.
What about the Rhodes on Beck Wired?
Look,
Jeff Beck Wired.
dude, don't get me wrong, man. My Rhodes pans like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I love that. My Rhodes actually has the Peter Panner module in it, the Retrophonics, and then it has the insert loop. So I have a phaser in the insert loop of my Rhodes.
Hell yeah.
So, it's no quarter all day long. That's what that was.
Yeah.
Phaser, no quarter. So, yeah, I love it. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is like when, when there's a gimmick. Okay, gimmicks are cool. When they happen, they're cool. I don't want to build my whole record around it.
Right.
So do I want drums that go boom, forward, back, left, right, forward, back, left, right? No, I don't want any of that. Yeah. Because when you put it in headphones, you don't hear it. It just sounds like it's reverb. It's got reverb. It doesn't. And, so everything has to come down to what it sounds like in your AirPods. And
which is smart that you've got that system.
Yeah, you have to have it.
That one.
I also listen to the Dolby Binaural. I've got a set of Focal headphones I just love, and I listen in that before I get to the AirPods. But I've found that what we really need to do in the immersive space, in my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, is just find a space where things can live in front and a bit to the side of me. And then other things can live a little bit in the back to provide that immersive depth and an over.
Yeah.
Side, front, and over is what's important to me.
Yeah.
Front, stereo. I don't use the center very much. I like to put reverbs in the center, which is actually kind of cool.
Nice.
From time to time. And sometimes I'll have the lead vocal in stereo, but the reverb for the lead vocal in the center, which is pretty cool sounding. In the room, it sounds like in your headphones is,
Are you ready to launch your career in the audio or entertainment business? SAE Institute Nashville, right here in the heart of Music Row, offers hands-on programs to prepare you for the industry. From studio production and live sound to audio for film and a whole lot more. You'll learn by doing, working with professional-grade gear alongside experienced industry pros. If you're more into the business side of entertainment, SAE's Entertainment Business Program teaches essential basics like contracts and promotion to help you navigate the industry. With diploma, associate, or bachelor's degrees, there's a path for everyone. Plus, Career Services supports graduates as they take the next step. Want to see it for yourself? Immerse yourself in Nashville's exciting music scene and book a tour today at nashville.sae.edu or call 615-244-5848. So you're seeing students that are learning Atmos now in schools, like Blackbird, for example, yeah? Mm-hmm. They're coming up doing that?
Look, I'm a student learning Atmos.
Yeah, but what do you see the next generation doing? Are they learning to quickly adapt to headphones until they can be in a studio that is Atmos?
I think everybody I know that young folks that are doing Atmos are doing it in headphones only because you can't do speakers.
Right.
The promise of Atmos is that we can have a great Atmos playback device in our house or car. I actually do have mine. I have one in my car.
Do you?
Yeah. And it's amazing.
Can I ask what your car is?
Yeah, it's a Polestar 3. It's a Bowers & Wilkins, 25 speaker Bowers & Wilkins.
And that's standard issue in the car or something?
Yeah, it's an upgrade, yeah.
Okay,
when we get done, you can check it out.
All right, cool.
See what you think. It's really good. Like, really, really good.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I bought the car because of it.
That's why I got my cars, because I like the stereo better than anything else.
Yeah. Well, mine's electric, yours is electric, so I like going fast.
That's true.
I like zoom, as my mom says.
Until you have to update.
Do what?
Until you have to update. You like Zoom until you have to update it.
Oh, well, yeah, that. I actually have updated my car a couple times, and every time it updates, it fixes something I didn't like and breaks something that worked before. So, it's the same cycle.
Yeah.
But, I didn't really break it, just whatever. But, yeah, I mean, I think with Atmos, for me, like I like to place, I still like to think that I'm listening to music like they're on stage. Here's the stage. Here's everybody.
Yeah.
It might be cool if this guitar player got this, like this, around me a bit. But I don't love when things are behind me because it takes me out of it.
Yeah. Well, a really well done binaural recording, when something's behind you, it's a little bit creepy.
Yeah.
It's slightly unnerving because you're
there's a James Brown
feel like you're being
track.
Up on.
There's a James Brown track it's a Universal approved track. It's part of their demo thing. And it's the band kind of in front of you and to the side a little bit, and to the sides. And it's James Brown singing the whole song behind me. Now look, I love James Brown. I don't want him behind me.
What a baseball.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want him back there going, I feel good behind me. It's like, no.
Yeah.
And I know why it was done. It was done to prove you can do it. But even when if you put it in binaural, it's okay. You put it in stereo, it's terrible. So it's only good as an Atmos demo.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, look, we're still
now, but we were listening to "When Doves Cry" from Prince in the studio, and you were showing how certain parts come out of certain speakers.
David Leonard's brilliant.
Yeah, David's mixes are beautiful. Now, does that one slightly break the rules on that? Bands up front, or does it seemed like it really
again? You're back to this sort of whole like different. Look, it's not a band bashing away on drums and guitars and cymbals. Right. It's an electronic production.
Right, exactly.
And so, even Prince, he's playing drum machine. It's all drum machines and Linn drums, and and it's brilliant, of course.
Yeah.
And all those vocals are up in the top, and the heights, and the keyboard, the da 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 da, a minor key run thing. It's brilliant. It's things I never heard. Now, if you put it in headphones, it would sound cool. If you put it in stereo, it's terrible. But again, nobody's delivering stereo of this. It's just,
because there's a stereo mix.
Yeah. In a perfect world.
For when there's stereo.
In a perfect world.
Right.
And like in Apple will switch, if you turn spatial off, it just switches the stereo mix.
Right.
And it'll only be about 7 dB louder.
Right. Depends on where your settings are, right?
Well.
Melissa Etheridge, live from Topeka Correction Center.
Yeah.
What was that like? Did you record that one as well?
No, I did not record that. I was sent the files. It was recorded in the courtyard of the prison, and there was maybe 75 women there. So it caused a few bits of consternation because there was no room. There's nothing there. It's outdoors, recorded outdoors. And the only thing was there was a little bit in the audience mics, a little bit of some other building that it was bouncing off of.
Right. Yeah,
and so I actually sort of pushed that a little bit. Like, in other words, I faked it. I just put the whole mix through a little delay, a stereo delay, slightly different times, and used that in what I was trying to create.
Right.
And then
that's like the question of how do you hide an elephant?
Yeah. And then trying to make it sound like there was nobody there, which part of the deal is the film. At that point in time, there was no audience shots because they're prisoners. They can't be on film.
Right.
So
but you can hear the voices. You can hear them cheering.
You can hear them cheering. You can hear them talking, and I mean, yeah. And they were having a great time.
That's great.
but, you know, they're also like outside and they're happy to be out there.
Yeah.
You know, there was a few spots where Melissa, I think, did some new songs and they were kind of like,
right.
I was like, okay, I got to grab a piece of audience from, you know, I got to just make it feel like that everybo's
excited everywhere. Yeah.
You know,
that's one of the challenges.
But there's only like,
live.
Again, there's only like 75 people there.
Right. Exactly.
So, and then Melissa made some musical edits where she played a couple things wrong, and I delivered them correctly. And then the director called me to tell me that you couldn't do that he needed it exactly like the timeline so he could do his edit. And I literally had to go, are you new to this? Have you never done this before? Like, no, you conform to me. I don't conform to you. So we went back and forth. And then he wanted stems delivered in Atmos. And I just said, you just don't do that. I'll deliver the stems, you can make it. No, I want these stems in Atmos. Okay. So I made drum stems in a 714. Then I made a bass stem in 714, which meant a 2-hour show, I was bouncing, or an hour and 40-minute show, I was bouncing the whole thing into these 714 stems, which don't make any fucking sense. And then I think I did a 5-1 also. And I don't know what they ended up using. And I obviously did it in stereo. But I did it in stereo. I did it in stereo, 5-1, and Atmos at the same time, which is an interesting little trick.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, another artist that you've worked with for a long time, C6 Steve. Mm-hmm. Is there a new album out?
No, well, there was a record we did a couple years back. Steve's kind of slowing down. He's, you know.
Does he come record with you at the studio?
He usually records. Well, it's actually funny. He has a studio in Cornwall, and he'd been recording in Cornwall, and he sold it. He didn't sell the building. His kids lived there, but he sold all the gear, and he sold it to a very, very famous English pop star who bought all this old analog gear of Steve's, Neve Desk and Studers and M79s and M59 and, you know, all this cool stuff. Steve kept a couple mic pre's and a 47 and a couple other things. I haven't talked to him in a while, which is actually funny because I'll think about him and he'll call me that day. It's always we have a sort of a weird symbiosis, but his place down there in Cornwall was really beautiful, and we made one record down there called Hubcap, and it was great.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
What memory do you have about just the most bizarre studio that you ever recorded in, or like really just kind of like a crazy studio story?
Well. The most bizarre, being the most bizarre studio. I'm not sure. I recorded a bunch of studios. So I recorded at the Village during COVID, and that was a trip because we had to be tested twice a day.
Oh man!
And and it was weird because the studio had been kind of almost closed for almost to 2000. This was January 21.
Yeah.
No, January 22. It was during the Omicron outbreak, and it was hitting LA, man, bad. And we were vaccinated, but that didn't seem to matter really. And we got to the studio, and it was kind of a skeleton crew, and we had some bunch of issues with the console first day, and so, and then I met Robbie Robertson that day in the most awkward way you could possibly meet Robbie Robertson, coming out of the bathroom above Studio A or Studio One, whatever it's called there, and he was just standing there outside, and he goes, "Oh, I thought somebody was in there," and I was like, "Yeah, oh, hey, I'm a fan." He's like, "Oh, nice to meet you," and all that, and I was like, "Okay, well, is this your bathroom?" "Sorry, he's like, "Oh, no, my room's right here next to it." I'm like, "Oh, sorry."
Nice. That's cool. Was that the first time you ever met Robbie Robertson?
Yeah. It's
That's
cool.
Man.
It was just, I just opened the door and there he was, he was walking to the toilet, whoa. So, but I mean, none of that's really super weird or anything. I mean,
no.
Recording at Sonic Ranch was cool.
It's just funny ways to meet icons.
Musical icons.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, well, I peed next to Kevin Bacon.
Well, it's like when I'm in Bonnaroo.
I peed next to Kevin Bacon.
There you go, man.
And then later, I recorded Kevin Bacon. So
1 degree.
Yeah, 1 degree. Yeah. His emails are all 6 degrees, at 6 degrees at the bottom.
Oh,
Hashtag 6 degrees.
That's great. All right, so here's another question about studios. So in your studio, thinking about guitars, so like definitely listening to records in your playlist, sometimes you really hear the space. I mean, I'll pick just randomly pick Jack White or something like that. Because you guys would really focus on guitar sounds. Guitar sounds are an important part of those, records as well, I would say.
And a lot of those records were cut live.
Right.
So the room mic you're hearing on the guitar is coming through the drums and upright bass and keyboards and vocal mic, and it's all of that.
That's probably an answer to the
now the
question,
solos wouldn't be. Solos would always be usually like you would kind of. He's really meticulous about the solo thing.
Yeah.
We would get a sound and then he would play it and then we'd play it again and then play it again, and then he'd be like, okay, I'm going to double it. So now just get like the first 4 notes.
Right.
And we're on 7.5 inch, or 7.5 IPS 2-inch tape, which doesn't punch in and out.
8-track 2-inch tape?
8-track 2-inch tape. It does not punch in and out very fast. But he was cool. He was like, yeah, we'll sort it out.
Yeah.
So, he would double the solo a lot.
Yeah.
Where he'd play harmony or whatever. And then sometimes he'd just come in the control room and we'd just plug into a DI into the 1073s and crank a 1073 wide open. Yeah. And then take the output of that into another 1073 and then put that into the board with the channel turned way down. Yeah. And, just that DI, louder and imploding, exploding.
Are you recording your own music or other people's music in your studio, but you're having trouble figuring out how to get your mixes to sound great? Do they sound weak and distant or lack punch and clarity? Well, I've got a gift for you to help you take your mixes from sounding like basement demos to sounding a lot more like professional mixes. And it's my free course called Mix Master Bundle. This course will show you how to get pro-sounding mixes from your home studio with free and stock plugins in Pro Tools. And the best part is, these mixing techniques will work for you in any DAW, whether you're in Logic, Cubase, PreSonus Studio One, Reaper, or anything you can think of. Are you ready to make your best record ever? Then go to mixmasterbundle.com to get started for free now, and you can find the clickable link in the show notes of this episode. Well, that sort of is part of the answer to my question. I mean, like, one of them was how much searching for guitar sounds happens in the studio versus in pre-production. Like Jack White, Tyler Bryant, and then the Inspector Clouseau were 3 artists.
Yeah. So first of all, my theory of pre-production is that there is no such thing. Mm-hmm. Pre-production is production. Period.
Right. Okay.
If you go into a studio to record demos and do pre-production, you're just making recordings. Now, this doesn't work for everybody, but by any means, right? Like my partner Mitch does pre-production on every song, which is fine. He does a lot of singer-songwriters, stuff that needs to get sorted out. Yeah. I don't do a lot of studio, like session player guys. It's usually bands or artists with a band.
So
Tyler Bryant. Tyler Bryant, Clouseau, Jack White. They're all, like artists with a vision to some degree. So us going into a studio doing pre-production is just me, in a way, recording it. Like, I don't see any point in it. Let's figure out what the song's about, and then let's record it. Yeah. And I know with Tyler, like the first record I did with Tyler, the first record I did with Tyler, which is Wild Child, was a re-record. That's a whole nother story. That's another story for another day. Have Tyler tell that story. It's a good one. But the second record we did, The Wayside, which is a full record, but you can only get half of it, which sucks because there's a bunch of really cool songs. We just worked on the songs. We just worked hard on them. One of the songs on that record that That's one of my favorite guitar sounds ever, the Loaded Dice and Easy Money.
Yeah.
That guitar sound is the smallest amp that I have. You know,
a cigarette pack?
No, it's a Epiphone something. Wide open. One speaker, one
new or
knob.
old amp?
Old. New, relatively new.
Yeah.
Like a little practice amp.
Yeah.
Wide open with a, I think ZVEX, some ZVEX pedal in front of it. And, and then a 67 and 57 right against it, right on it.
Yeah.
And it's so in your face, and tons of sub-low that I have no idea where that came out, that little speaker. But
little amps have this great implosion sound.
Yeah, well, little amps are the best to me.
Yeah, so how do you think about miking a guitar amp differently between a big one and a little one?
I just usually use a small speaker. Always.
Wait, no, I mean, when you're, like, do you use different mic choices?
No.
Okay.
No.
57, 67.
57,
Coles.
67.
What was the other one? You had like a 4 mic.
Oh, that was
thing that you described for Chris. BK5.
BK5.
Yeah.
BK5A.
I did. I replicated
It's actually a
that.
BK4. BK4, a Royer, a 57, and a 67 for Stapleton.
Yeah.
4 mics.
I replicated that for my record, and it turned out
It's really cool.
It sounded really cool.
Pan 2 of them one way, 2 of them the other. It's great.
Yeah.
And there's enough movement there, Yeah, it works. It's overkill, completely and utterly overkill,
right.
But it was fun.
Now, what do you do? Let's say you don't have the band all mic'd up, and you're doing guitars. How do you like to fall on happy accidents for the room sound?
Well, I always leave the room mics on for 2 reasons. One, if the guitar player's talking to me and he needs to be in the room for gain, I can hear him.
Right.
So I'll either record it or I won't. You know what I mean?
Right.
But man, I'm old. I love the Led Zeppelin, room mic only guitar solo. I love that sound.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of it, and all the records of theirs that I love. Led Zeppelin 2, Led Zeppelin 1, all of them. It's great. But I just sort of figure that out, and then sometimes I'll just record it on the same 2 tracks as the other.
You think that's a little bit of a problem for us in the home studio worlds and the starter studios? Is too much dry sounds, not enough recording things with the mics pulled back?
I think it's a weird one, because I think that,
of course, you hear the space if you do that.
I think the home studio space, the whole problem with a lot of records that were made in it is they're recorded all at different times, and people use different ambience, and there's no bleed, and there's no glue to tie all that stuff together.
Right.
And that's just the way things are. I get it. I've kind of, I'm not a huge reverb fan. I've got a pair of Bricassis I love, and then everything else I have is either like an old AMS, which is its own thing, or a Clark Technic DN780, which is its own thing.
Yeah.
It was Clark Technic trying to make a AMS, or Springs. These are what I use. And I tend to, if the band is playing in my room and I want the band to feel a little bigger than normal, I'll just put a bunch of it in the reverb, the same reverb. They're playing in the same room, right?
Yeah.
Even if there's not room mics for the guitars and things, just add a little bit of that ambience to them. And I think nowadays people just put a reverb plug-in on this thing and a reverb on this thing. And it's all these different spaces, which sometimes is cool. But, sometimes it just gets not cool.
Yeah. So I got 2 closing questions for you. Both have asked before, but I want to ask this one again too. When you started out in recording and doing music, what do you think was holding you back?
I lived in Missouri. I lived in Joplin, Missouri. It's a town of 40,000 people. The thing that's holding me back at that point is that there's 3 bands that I could record in the whole town. And that's why I moved. And then I moved to a town of 170,000 people, and there were 16 bands. But the things that are holding you back. And back then, there was no laptop.
Yeah.
Apollo. First studio I worked in, there was a console was an Allen Heath Purnell Syncon B. It was 32 inputs to 24 buses, and that console was $160,000. And Otari, not MTR 90s, it was MX 80s,
and that was in
MX
Springfield.
70s. That was in Joplin.
In Joplin, somebody dropped 100.
16-track 1-inch machines, two of them. They spent $500,000.
Unbelievable. Wow.
Yeah, they scammed the people who originally built it. They scammed a bunch of people $500,000.
Wow.
And then they went under because they didn't have an engineer. They didn't have anything. They decided they didn't know how to record drums.
There's also only 16 bands.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of Christian Southern gospel singers down there.
Yeah.
So, and things like that. They decided they didn't know how to record drums. So they just bought a Simmons drum set, the big SDS7 Simmons drum set, and that was their drum sounds.
Which you wish you had now. No.
I got all those samples.
You don't have a lot of
I do have a Sinair.
When Chris Stapleton comes in, hey, man, did you check out this new drum kit I got? I think you should try it out on this next track.
Yeah, he'd be like, yeah, no. How about no? But
right.
yeah.
All right, next one.
That would be what I was holding me back. Money and talent.
Yeah. So
that's what
sometimes
always
we just
holds us back.
Sometimes we just got to break out of our zone.
Yeah, money and talent is always the holdup.
Right on. Let's take the Wayback Studio machine. You get to go back in time once again and find young Vance and say, listen, dude, you don't have this beard yet, but you might one day. Here's the single most important thing you need to know to be a rock star of the studio yourself one day. What do you feel like saying this time?
I think in the past I've said become a lawyer. I think I've said in the past buy Apple stock. Maybe get in on the Bitcoin thing.
Definitely.
I don't know. Become a studio. What would I tell my old self?
What would your young? Hey, let's flip it. What would your young self tell your old self? I can't even imagine what an answer to that question is.
I think my young self would be like, I'll tell you what my young self. Well, let me put it this way. I should have listened to my wife. When I was working at Blackbird, and this is nothing against, John McBride or anything, or the studio or anything, but I literally had just made a Grammy Award-winning record, and then I built a studio for 4 years for other people. I would have probably said, I can do this on my own, and just gone and done it. But I just bought a house that cost more than I wanted. Not more than I wanted, but more than I thought I could pay for.
Right.
And I had people to take care of, and I just waited just a little bit long. I waited long enough to get the good gig, but I could have been just hammering away at skills.
Right, because whatever we do next, that getting out of our shell, going where the opportunity is, it's going to require a lot of practice and getting things wrong to get the things right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. The reality is if you know how to mix, you know how to get sounds, you know how to do this, you're gonna be way ahead of the game doing anything you're gonna do. And I was pretty good at that. The hard part was I just wasn't good at believing myself.
Right.
Part of that is, I tell you, the things I struggle with, I struggle with fear of rejection, pride, and I struggle with why did I not get that gig? Why is that guy doing it?
Right.
Why is, shit, I could have killed that gig. And usually these are people who are my friends. Right. But I have to, and then imposter syndrome and all that. But, all that stuff is all internal stuff that I think all of us to some degree deal with.
Yeah.
We all deal with pride. We all deal with the, imposter syndrome. We all deal with rejection, and sometimes it's for the best and sometimes it fucking sucks, believe me.
Yeah.
It fucking sucks. But, younger me would have just said, believe more in yourself. You got it. And, it would have said, if you want to make records, you need to go make records because you're pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, man, that's great. That's great. And I'll drop a marker right there, too.
Thanks.
Well, dude, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast. I mean, we love having you here. Man.
Of course.
Everybody cheers when we've got you on the show. So
awesome.
I appreciate it. Where would you like the rock stars to go find out what's going on with you, listen to music, follow you on social, any of those things?
Well, I'm...
or reach out to make a record.
Excuse me. Well, you can reach out online, Vance at vancepowell.com, or you can go to the GPS, which is my management company, their website, and you can contact them. I'm on Instagram at Vance a lot. I don't post a lot of things there because I hate posting photographs, sort of. But I do from time to time. I have
You've also got a lot of teaching online, a lot of video.
There's a lot of videos in
like that,
right? Pure Mix, and some other fun stuff. PureMix.net is definitely. I love that platform, and Fab's a great friend, and I like what they're doing. And other than that, I have a title playlist. I can, under the artist, type in my name and hit artist, and there's a title playlist. But I don't know who's updating that. Probably my management should be. I'm not very good at all that.
If we want to hear your Atmos mixes, we go to...
that's even harder. You would have to go to Apple and figure out where they are. Last year, I mixed a Parker McCollum record. I didn't mix the record. I mixed the Atmos. And there's a couple songs on that that I really, really like. There's one called New York's on Fire. It's one of my favorites. Right. It's really, really good.
Cool.
It's really good. It's really good as a song. It's great as a song. And then the mix is cool because it sort of starts relatively small and then just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and wider and bigger like New York does when you drive in.
Right on.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I like that one a lot.
All right, groovy. Rockstars, thank you so much for watching and listening. If you're just listening, come on over to video and come take a look and see Vance and his cool beard. And if you enjoyed it, also hit that like button and subscribe so you get more of these videos from us here now in the future. So, Vance, a question for you for the rock stars. What would you like to ask them that they might respond to in the comments if they have an answer to? What are you curious about from people?
What do you think the next big thing is?
All right, cool. What's the next big thing, rock stars? I want to know that too.
Music and recording and all that.
Yeah.
Is it AI? Is it not AI? In other words, like no AI will ever cross my fingers or whatever.
Or is it music that sounds so imperfect compared to AI that it becomes...
I think I've recorded a lot of that.
All right, well, let's go make more.
Cool.
All right, dude. Thanks for hanging with us.
You got it.
Cheers.
See you.
Thanks so much for listening to Recording Studio Rockstars. If you enjoyed the show and want to help make it better, then please share this episode with your friends on social media and leave a rating and review on iTunes to help the podcast reach more rock stars like yourself. You can click directly over to iTunes or go to rsrockstars.com/review for an easy explanation. And remember to hit the subscribe button to keep up with weekly episodes. And if you're ready to make your best record ever now, then head over to Recording Studio Rockstars Academy, where you can start with my free course at mixmasterbundle.com. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks for being a rock star. I'm Lid Shaw, and this is Recording Studio Rockstars. Now, go make great music. Recording Studio Rockstars would like to give a big thank you to our fantastic sponsors who make this episode possible. Isotope, Native Instruments, SAE Institute, Spectra 1964, Grace Design, and Picker. Check out the Spectra 1964 website for factory direct budget-saving prices on the STX 600, 100, 100D, and BBDI DirectBox. Check out my studio profile on the Picker app on iPhone or Android, and remember to take advantage of our special coupon code ROCK10 for 10% off any plugin purchase at iZotope.com or nativeinstruments.com. And don't forget, you can start mixing right now with my free course at mixmasterbundle.com. If you enjoyed Recording Studio Rockstars, please check out our sponsors using the links in the show notes below. These are all things I highly recommend for your studio. They're going to help you make your best record ever. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, because it's a great way to help support this show. And I'd also like to thank our fantastic team here at Recording Studio Rockstars, Vlad Weselchenko and Daria Tupesis. Thanks so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.